Going to wait for a few minutes. This was a sold out event, and I see there's a lot of people coming in. 58. Hello, everybody. I see some familiar names. Baron, Jane, see you. I feel like, what was that old TV show? Oh, I'm dating myself. When you say, I see you, and I see you, and I see you. Romper Room. Thank you, Lori. Great, Romper Room. Wow. Great. Lots of people coming in. 63. I'm just going to give it a few more minutes. Hi, Patricia. So good to see you on here. A lot of familiar names. It's great. 65. Let's give it a couple more minutes. Clarice. Clarice was always upset because they never said her name. Okay, just a couple more minutes, everybody. Just waiting. Hi, Patricia. I hope everybody can hear me. I've been having a little trouble with my mic this morning, so I'll try to be very clear. All right. It's cutting in and out. Okay. Sorry about that. I'll try to raise my voice more. Gary, is it okay? Can you still hear me?
Right. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
74. Great. Well, good afternoon, everybody. We have, looks like 74 people on the call and climbing. This was, thank you, Hala. I'm glad that you can hear me. Perfect. This was a sold out event, as I said, and we're really happy to have everybody here today. This is our second last Words of Wisdom, and it's been a great series, and we're really pleased to have all these wonderful panelists on sharing their stories and their journeys with us. So we'll get on with it. Today, I have a special thank you to two wonderful ladies who have agreed to be on our call today and to share their experiences around building a professional network. So I want to thank Tina and Casey Casey especially for participating in the 2019 Wisdom Mentoring Program. I appreciate that. And Tina, thank you very much for being a mentor and also one of our Canada's Most Powerful Women Top 100 Award winner. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm hearing my audio is going in and out. Oh,
we can hear
you. You know why? Like I'm not an IT person. I had my notes on my speaker, I think, or something. I'm not sure. Can you hear me now? Everybody?
Yep, perfectly.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, everybody. So we'll start again. Today we're going to be talking about advice on building a professional network. It's a word of wisdom guide to networking. So when we were young, we were told not to talk to strangers. That was great advice. But as we grew older, not so much, right? When professional success depends on less on what you can do and more on the people that you know. Talking to strangers is actually a make or break skill. And I'm saying it is a skill. I've had a lot of questions about, how do you network? What if you're an introvert? What if you're shy? And I think, I'm an introvert. I'm shy. But I think it's a skill that you build over time through your life experiences and your work experiences. So don't give up. There's still an opportunity for you to become a great networker. You can kind of look at, you know, networking, everybody looks at it as a kind of a dreadful thing to do. You know, I think some people think it's right up there with death and public speaking, but we're going to give you some great advice today and, you know, help you build your skill. And it will take time. It's not something that you learn overnight. So we're here to help today. We want to help turn awkward. Oh, it's still turning out. It's still cutting in and out. Okay. Let me see. See, this is our new world, right? That we're living in. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to try to sit over closer to the modem. This is the first time this has happened. It was usually okay. So I apologize, everybody. Just let me go sit closer to our modem. 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. I'm closer to my modem, but now you can't see me very well. Is that better?
Yeah, much better.
Resilience, right? That's what this whole thing has given us, is resilience and just maneuvering under pressure. So is everybody, can you hear me better?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that, everybody. All right. So we are going to continue with this webinar, and I would like to, everyone's saying perfect, good, thank you. I would like first, if Casey, if you could please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey so far, where you hang out, where you reside, and a little bit about your experience. Thank you so much.
Of course. That's a lot to unpack, but my name's Casey Yorko. I'm from Vancouver, and I work for the BD School of Business at Simon Fraser University. I did the mentorship program, and my mentor was Tina, and I found it very valuable. There was kind of an instant connection, I would say, and I could trust Tina with all my issues and basically talk to her very openly and candidly about what was going on in my workspace, as well as the kind of issues or career path that I was navigating at the time.
Perfect, thank you. And you are in Vancouver, right?
Yes.
Tina, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I live in Winnipeg, and I own a couple of businesses, some of them big, some of them small. Pretty busy, 2 amazing children, grown up now, so I'm not, a couple of the questions were around how do you deal with having little kids at home, and luckily enough, that's a little bit in my past, although that was when I was building my businesses. So it was for sure difficult at times, but yeah, I'm able to be a little bit more free. I come and go from different businesses during the day. I'm also the chair of our largest hospital in Winnipeg, in Manitoba, actually. And so I volunteer a lot of time. I've only been able to set aside more time in the last couple of years for that, but we've been very successful. We raise money for incredibly interesting projects at the hospital. I think we're at something like 65 million in the last few years. So we're really raising a lot of money for great projects. So I have a varied life, but I'm happy to be part of the WXN mentor program. And Casey and I did hit it off right off. And you know, it was really, I think it was very intriguing for me to be able to give a little bit of advice here and there. They're just ideas, and they're I would say fairly straightforward for me, because I live in this world of lots of problems and people problems and issues day to day, and just kind of try to work through them and see where your comfort zone is. So it was really nice to work with Casey and continuing to work with Casey.
Thank you for participating. Really appreciate it. Tina, what are your businesses? I know you're a serial entrepreneur. Can you just share?
So my main business is I'm in the wine business, retail, and we have a
That really helped through COVID, did it?
Yeah, except for all of our restaurants. So yeah, we were down 50% in our sales. So that was, yeah, everything was turned upside down. I'm also in the hockey business. We own hockey teams and skill development training. So we have a business called the Rink Training Center, and it's a very exciting business. And along the lines of how I like to help, this is helping young people continue their dream of playing hockey. So from very young to pros, and our hockey teams are high school age, where they play in what's called the Canadian Sports School Hockey League. So mostly out west, travel out west, or did, and we're able to be seen by scouts, and 49% of our kids play in a higher level program like the WHL or the USHL and groups like that. So very, very fortunate to be able to help hundreds of kids get into higher level programs if that's what they're searching for.
Well, thank you for contributing to our national favorite sport in Canada. That's
Yeah,
great.
it's
Future hockey players, future leaders.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so part of networking and building a professional network is about connections. So I want to talk about your first meeting, because you didn't know each other at all, had never met, correct? And the way that you actually came together and made that connection is quite unique. I've never heard of it before in all the years that I've either participated in Wisdom or owned the company. So I want you to tell us about that first encounter, because it was quite amazing, actually, in what you did. So Casey, you want to start and tell us what happened? How did you first meet Tina?
Okay, I think I got that. Your mic was still cutting in and out, but I think you were asking about our first encounter and how that kind of happened. So through the women's network, basically you're paired up with a mentor. And so I got Tina's contact and was asked to contact her. So I did that, actually just thinking that this was going to be difficult and we'd have kind of this virtual relationship, which now everything is virtual. But at the time it was kind of daunting. And so emailed her to see what was best way to connect. And Tina actually invited me to Winnipeg to visit her. So I think that was really unique, and it was a whirlwind of a day. It was quite packed, but I had a great time, and I think that actually helped build our connection a little bit more, because virtual is quite difficult, and I think everyone's having a difficult time with it. And so having that face-to-face kind of encounter was really good, and I think we covered a lot in a one-day span, but it was very valuable.
What did you do, Tina? How did you prepare for this day with Casey?
Well, I don't know if you could say I prepared for it. It just was going to be kind of a normal day, show Casey around and some of the things that I'm involved in, and meet some people and have a little bit of a lay of the land, just getting an idea of, you know, my life's a bit crazy. And so to be able to just chat with Casey for an hour, you know, once every couple of weeks, I'm taking time out of these little bits of places. So it was neat, and to show Casey that, you know, you can really have fun with what you're doing too. Lots of all what we're dealing with is very serious, and life is even more serious, feels less positive these days. So it was fun to have a little bit of a day where it was a whirlwind. We went, met a number of great people in the city, people that I work with, people from the foundation at the hospital, people from the wine business, the head office, people from Earl's, and, you know, just fun, different things, but kind of, I guess, very different from what Casey's normal day would be.
No, I think that's a great experience, especially even, you know, the connections that you probably made through Tina, right, are a great experience as well.
Yeah.
You know, just that's great. Wonderful. Okay. So I'm going to try to speak up again because I'm understanding people aren't hearing me. So Casey, part of our wisdom mentoring program is to talk about how to build a professional network. Can you please tell us what the program taught you about building a professional network?
I think it really changed my opinion of what is networking. Just because everyone kind of looks at networking as kind of a bad word, as something that you have to go into a room of a group of people and you have to make small talk and kind of have that conversation with them. I think what I learned more specifically is to be genuine with your conversations, and it's the intent behind it. So it's not transactional. I wasn't going into this to get a job from Tina. That wasn't my outlook. My outlook was to learn from her in all these different aspects of life, as well as skills, experiences, and everything in between. So I think my intent was just for the experience. And I think that's what I learned going into networking has to involve. It has to involve this kind of reciprocal relationship rather than trying to get one solid thing out of it, which usually is everyone's end goal, to get a job. And that's kind of not going to get you very far. You have to make these relationships and these connections that actually last longer term in order for the networking to actually be successful.
Thank you very much. What aspects of networking did you both struggle with at first? I know, Tina, you have a lot more experience in it, and you are more outgoing and more of an extrovert, but you know, if you think early on, what did you struggle with when you first started networking?
I think one of the things that's important early on was finding like people in like areas of what you wanted to do and where you wanted to go. I am an extrovert, so I do find it easier to make conversation, but again, making the conversations genuine and actually asking people, you know, asking people questions that are real questions. And I think one of the ways that many of our young people listening today that want to get ahead and want to know more people and get more advice, I think is really what this is about. Networking is about receiving advice, and maybe more so nowadays is like Casey said, it's not transactional, but be genuine and ask good questions of what you really need to know. And I think that's how we can get ahead together, and just talking more about what the different needs are, because I would say we've probably been there, right, Sherri? And it's easy for us to maybe answer these questions or give ideas and go where people are comfortable and tailor the discussions around each person. So networking to me is kind of one of those, it's a big word, but it is about making good relationships.
Okay, I think people are having a hard time hearing me again, so I'm going to speak up again. Casey, same question to you. What aspects of networking did you struggle with?
Like you, I would say that I'm an introvert and I'm usually shy. So just getting out of my comfort zone, and I find even through networking events where I have to kind of put myself out there, at the end of the day, I'm exhausted. But it's something that I think would benefit me in the long term. So you kind of have to break out of your comfort zone, But I also learned that your network doesn't have to be strangers that you encounter at an event. It can be people that you know. It could be your boss's best friend. It could be someone that is actually closer than you think within your network. And you could explore different opportunities there as well, which kind of makes me a little bit more comfortable because, for instance, it was easier to go up to Sherri or to Tina once we've had that connection. So to actually open up and have these connections and talk about things that were more personal once you get to know someone. So having that connection or that introduction is quite valuable in different situations.
So having somebody else make the introductions
Exactly.
for you as well and going with you, and that's great. Yeah, that helped me as well in my journey. I Can you hear me? Okay, I see we can hear me perfectly now. All right. So when I first started my first business when I was 26, I was very shy. I had no idea what the business world was like. I really didn't know where to begin. But a good friend of mine said, you need to join like the Chamber of Commerce and another association that could potentially help you get to know people, right? Because the old adage, we know that people will buy from people that they know and they like and they respect. And I think that's what gave me my leg up in my business, is making those connections, even though it was painful. It was so painful at first. It was really beneficial in the end. And I think, as we go through this today, we'll come up with examples as to, how we've been successful in our networking strategies and being out there with other people. And then what does our world look like right now, right? Zoom's world. That's pretty much where we're in. So, how do we continue to build those relationships when, as humans, we want that personal touch, right? We want to see people. We want to, just not touch people. That's not the right. That's wrong in so many ways. But to reach out to people, right, and just to be with them. And certainly, it's much more difficult now, especially for those of us who are introverted, right? It is very difficult. So we'll talk about that a little later. But so in talking about networking, how did you develop your own skills in networking? Because it is a skill. So Casey, let's go back to you. I know you're young and you're still very early in your career, but I know you're building your networking skills. So can you tell me, how did you develop the skills in networking?
I don't know if I have developed this skill yet. It is a skill, and I think just breaking yourself out of your comfort zone, as well as finding the connections that make you comfortable, are two scenarios that I've kind of taken in. So breaking myself out of my comfort zone to join an organization and meet people and put myself out there so that I have these connections that I can build. Or for instance, going with my own network and just saying, do you have any connections in this area? Because it's easier for me to talk to someone that I already know. So those are two tips that I've kind of taken that make it a little bit easier for me, but I don't know if I've actually built the skill. I don't know what that would encompass when I'm an expert at it, or if I ever become an expert at it. But I think just being an introvert is something that I have to work on.
Yeah, it's a daily thing. Absolutely. Even at my age. Okay, thank you very much, Casey. That's a great answer. Tina, you're in sales, you're out there all the time, but early on, how did you develop your own skills in networking?
I think, yes, you do have to jump out of your comfort zone. And maybe one of the best ways to do that is rely on somebody that is a steady for you. Ask them questions. And also I find pep talks before you go into situations that you may not be comfortable are really, really helpful. I'm for sure not great at it yet, still trying, but I do connect with people. And I think one of the easiest ways to connect with people is just by being positive and smiling and being friendly, and you know, it breaks down a lot of barriers when you can come up to somebody and pretend like you've known them for a long time and just say, hey, I loved listening to you speak. And you know, if you are really nervous and you come across as nervous, it's just going to be a little bit more awkward for everybody. But if you come across and just, you know, go into the bathroom, give yourself that pep talk before you go up to somebody, whether it's after a panel discussion or whatever, or if you want to reach out to one of us after, you know, just do it. But maybe give yourself the little pep talk before you do it, because we all need that. So and that's pretty normal, but you can get that from a number of places. Casey's nodding.
Tina's very good for every single one of my talks that I'd have to have or situations that I've dealt with. I call up Tina and I get a little pep talk beforehand.
Yeah, but
Right, so that's why you need a mentor.
Yeah.
yeah, it kind of works, I think. I mean, everybody has different ways, but breaking down some of the barriers and just like actually almost pretend like you're talking to somebody that you really know well too, that might work.
And another thing too, I think we need to understand, we're not going to connect with everybody, right? And I think at some point in time, we just need to move on and move to the next person or
Yeah.
colleague,
Sherri,
so.
you invited me to a panel discussion in Calgary a number of months ago, and I would say that's what I walked away with. All of the panelists were heavy hitting, amazing women, all top 100 recipients, and it was very cool. We walked away from that having instructed our registrants to walk away from bad situations. You get into these situations with people that just don't see things your way, or terrible bosses. It's, you know, every single one of them says, get out as fast as you can. And just making that decision will make you better. And you'll learn from those situations too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All the times in my life, yeah, that's happened, yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to talk about results, like real world results, measurable results of good networking. So can you tell us a situation where you were really pleased with your networking and it helped you in your professional and your personal life? Casey? Can you tell us about an actual situation where you nailed it?
For me, my job is kind of in project management, which spans everything. So you can project manage anything in a job, basically. And so I had a lot of different opportunities, and just getting the mentorship from Tina about turning down certain opportunities and finding out where opportunities could lead to valuable connections or a next step in my career, I think was very valuable. So I basically learned to have these conversations which were very genuine and saying what I want more than anything. So if I wanted to work in a certain area or wanted a skill in a certain area, I would continually repeat that I wanted that experience, and it just so happens that I ended up getting it. So in different situations, I think my career moves have come from speaking or saying what I want out of the situation and taking opportunities where they would lead to a step in the future that would benefit me, and turning down those opportunities that I thought wouldn't benefit me in the future.
Okay.
That takes real courage, and that's not easy to do, Casey. You've done amazing. And being able to know what you want and being so decisive is also amazing. And those things don't happen easy, so you need lots of pats on the back for that, for sure.
Good for you. Congratulations. That's great. Good to hear. Tina, what about you? What are some real world results that you've seen because of good networking?
I think all of the businesses that I've built have been from networking. So whether it's, you know, going out on a limb really early on, I started in the wine business 21 years ago, and we had zero revenue and we had inventory to sell. And, you know, I called up the largest restaurateur in the city and I asked if he would meet with me, and he said yes. And I thought, oh my gosh, now what do I do, right? But, you know, you just start by trying, and when you get little wins, you got to keep you got to keep working on what gave you the little win. And wins are really helpful. And when you don't get wins, you have to turn to, I think, people you know and ask for advice, because there's no manual for this, and everybody can help in certain ways. So
Absolutely. And I mean, over the years, I've also had a lot of success through my networking and meeting people and getting to know, different connections. And I'm just going to share this with you because it was really important in my first business. We were growing so quickly, and we couldn't keep up with the cash flow because it was just so, it was great news, great growth, but trying to manage cash flow was a challenge. And the bank we were with at that time wasn't going to help us any further. And it so happened it was the Chamber of Commerce, and I became the first female president in the Woodstock Chamber of Commerce in little old Woodstock, Ontario. And it was through that, my connection there with my first vice president, who was actually a bigwig at RBC, and he was great. I mean, without him, our business, I don't know what would have happened to it. So it's just those little connections, right, that will help you along the way. And don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help, because you just don't know who's there and who might be able to either help you themselves or make the connection for you.
And it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. We have to all remember that. We all need help, and asking for help is definitely not a sign of weakness. I mean, if somebody makes you feel bad for asking for help, you need to find a new person to ask, because, and in the mentorship program, people that are the mentors want to give time. I don't think the only thing we want back is to see some success. There's no tangible anything that I think that the mentors would like to back, but it really is, it's a great opportunity for us to see young people or people, be more successful than they were the day before you talked to them. And it's little bit by little bit. Rome wasn't built in a day too. So
yeah, it's important that we lift each other up, especially as women. It's really important, especially when we get to my age. I'm not going to count you in that, Tina, but our age, where you've seen success, but you've also seen heartache as well, right? And it's important to reach out and to share that with the younger women who are the up and coming and who are the new leaders, the next leaders in this country. I think that's really important. And I always coin a phrase, and my team always laughs at me, and everybody does. It's not mine. I learned it from another top 100, but it's there's a special place in hell for women who do not help other women.
Yes.
Or do not support them, right? I've seen it, and it's so important. You have to be open, you have to be supportive, you have to help, you have to share. It's key. We're not going to get anywhere. We're going to be our own worst enemy if we don't do that. So.
And there's a really special place in hell for all those bad bosses out there that, the better team is, the better off you are. So anyone that doesn't believe that and thinks that they're the only important person in the world, we need to continue to knock down that barrier too, because the better everyone is, the better off everyone looks.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm hoping everybody can still hear me. Karen told me not to move my head too much and just stay still. So I'm trying to stay still while reading.
That works.
All right. So in saying all this, how do you feel about networking today? Where is your confidence level today in networking, Casey?
Well, kind of going back to what I said, I don't think I'm ever going to be an expert at networking, but I do feel more comfortable with putting myself out there for my career and for those connections. And I think it's something that everyone should do or should learn to do at some point in time. And it just so happens that it's continually been drilled into my head since I graduated from business school, and you're supposed to network. And I've taken different opportunities in different situations, and what I would call networking, like going for an informational interview or getting a mentor in Tina, and just finding what really works for me.
Great. All right, I think it's 1:36. We are going to, there were a lot of questions actually from the audience that came in prior to this event, and there were like, I don't know, 40 questions. So we can't get out through all 40 questions today, but I have chosen some. And what I'd like to do for our audience, if you can hear me, it would be great if you could give us some information, like chat along with us, give us some feedback or your insights on some of these questions as well, because these are from you. I just want to read something here from Kathy Davis. I spent 18 months networking for my last job and had 423 networking conversations and meetings in that time. Holy smokes. The most helpful things I learned to do were: 1, treat it as a business, i.e. confirm beforehand, be on time, have an agenda, do your research on the person you're meeting beforehand, follow with a thank you, true networking. Wow, that's great. I always ask the person toward the end what I could do for them. Right? That's great, reciprocal.
That is nice.
They were always delighted to be asked, and while they usually didn't have an ask, it ended the meeting on a positive. So we still can't hear me.
We can hear you pretty, like you're in and out. But to add to Kathy's comments, being on time is crucial, and being respectful of other people's time, knowing, having an agenda, knowing who you're speaking to. There'd be nothing worse than going into a situation where you're not prepared. And if you're prepared and you've spent a little bit of time, people are impressed, and then that goes off on the right foot, right? If somebody called me up and, was completely, wanting to talk about, I don't know, just something that wasn't within our framework, it would be awkward, and it wouldn't go that well. So yeah, be prepared and treat it like a business opportunity. Those are good comments.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Kathy, for sharing that. All right, so some questions. So Lori has asked, if they can't hear me, if you could rephrase the question that I asked you, just so they know what I've asked you. So one question from the audience is, one of my concerns in networking is that I always talk too much. Or sometimes I might share too much info with others. How should I avoid it?
Right, so the question was, one of my concerns in networking is that I always talk too much, and sometimes I might share too much info to others. How should I avoid it? Maybe Casey, you can jump in on that, because I do talk too much, and I might not have the best comment there.
I think I'm the opposite. I don't talk enough. I try and phrase what I'm going to say the right way, and it somehow turns out wrong. So I think talking too much might come across in a way to you personally, but if you're connecting with the right person, even just starting off with saying, I tend to babble on a little bit, so please stop me if you want me to repeat anything, might be something good. But like I said, I haven't had that experience. I'm a very quiet person, and I try to figure out what I'm going to say and prepare, and kind of have questions in mind before going into a situation. Although I also find that being honest and open and having those connections where you might babble on might actually be beneficial. I think with me and Tina, it was her babbling at me and then me babbling at her, trying to connect about our work and our life, and trying to find those areas where there might be overlap, or I might get some help or some mentorship out of it. So I think that babbling doesn't have to be bad, but I think it has to be in the right situation or with the right person.
And I think to add to that too, as long as you are genuine about what you're saying and trying hard, I think to be open and honest, then it won't come across as babbling. Especially if you feel that you might be able to say, and this is, I think, fairly important, if you feel that you're babbling, you might be able to say, look, I'm a bit nervous and I tend to talk a lot when I'm babbling. And something like that opens yourself up I'm pretty sure that the person saying that would feel like they've opened themselves up, and hopefully they're received well. And I would say hopefully you're received well too, because you should be received well. And if you're not, then the person you're talking to is not very nice.
And move on.
Yeah, move on. Because opening yourself up, I mean, somebody should never say, oh, well, that's terrible that you talk too much when you're nervous. I mean, that just isn't something someone should say. So when you open yourself up to that kind of a comment and a personal situation, you should have somebody right away say to you, oh, that's okay, I used to be like that too. And then you have a connection.
Perfect. I think, you know, in my experience over the years, what I've found is I'm not a huge talker, but what I find is if you're going into a networking in a room, you're networking and you tend to talk a lot, I think what you maybe might want to do is actually probably listen more than you know, make an effort to listen more than you would talk. And I would also encourage you to, you know, if you are talking, ask questions about the person that you're talking to, not talk about yourself. Because people love, you know, to talk about themselves and share their experiences with you. So I would tend to do that. If you're going to talk about that person, not about yourself.
Do lots of listening. Listening is a very important skill.
It's a very important skill in networking, very. And asking lots of really valid questions as well, right? Like really, really good questions. Okay, let's go on to the next question. So Jay McNichol said, love that phrase, Casey, babbling doesn't have to be bad. Let's go on. So how do you make a conversation genuine? This person says they feel as though I'm only going to network events to find business, and therefore my interest is not organic and I have trouble connecting. So how do you make a conversation genuine? Casey?
So the question was, how do you make a conversation genuine when you're going to networking events, for instance? It often, basically, in my experience too, it falls flat. It's really difficult to connect with someone in a networking event. A lot of people are there to network, but I always had trouble with it as well. And I think it's just because the connection is not there right away. So for instance, like I mentioned previously, it's finding that being able to be genuine with someone is often through your own connections. So if you were introduced to someone, or if you find someone within your network or just outside your network, and making that connection and knowing who the person is beforehand. So often doing research and knowing who this person is often makes it a little bit easier, and you can have that conversation starter that's not just a blanket, how's the weather going, or getting rain out there, or something that is often that small talk that people don't like to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Tina, what do you think?
Yes, I agree. I think it is the personal connection for sure. And maybe if, you know, again, on the lines of listening, listen really to certain parts of whatever discussion's going on and find what you think is interesting and make some notes about it. And then I think the best way would be to follow up if the instance is open for follow up with that person and say, you know, I was at this event, I was listening to you speak. There are many people, you know, wanting to talk to you after or whatever, but I found this part really interesting. I'm wondering if you would give me 15 minutes to talk about this and about mentoring in general, or sorry, about networking in general. And I think hopefully you find positive results from something like that. But again, put yourself out there a little bit and see if you can, you know, find an instance where you get that personal connection. You create a situation where you're going to be in that position to have a personal connection.
Good, very good answers. Okay, here's one more. This is interesting. What is an appropriate exit strategy for awkward conversations in a networking environment? Does
think
anybody in the audience want to answer that one?
Yeah, that's great.
What is an appropriate exit strategy for awkward conversations and networking environments?
I mean, with
True,
respect,
right?
oh, can everyone hear you? What's the appropriate exit strategy when you're in awkward conversations? I mean, you know, with respect, you could just easily say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize what time it is. I've got to run to another, you know, but you have to be careful because people are giving time, and there's moments in phrases and discussions where you can get out of something. Be careful because it could come across really badly.
What about you, Casey? What do you think?
I have no idea. I'm like, it's just like getting out of a date. How do you do that?
How do you get out of a bad date politely?
Careful.
This is why I'm saying climb out the bathroom window. You're good.
Oh, if you're at a lunch or something, yeah. If you're at an actual meeting with one or two people, but if you're in a cocktail area reception thing, you can get out of them pretty easily. But yeah, if you're on a one-on-one,
It's a difficult situation. I think you have to find the most polite way to do it, and usually scheduling overlaps are a good excuse. Just like Tina said, just, oh, sorry, I didn't realize what time it is. I had a great time meeting you. I've got to go to this other meeting now. Which is a lot easier as well over Zoom now. You can say, I'm sorry, I've got a new meeting to go to. So given the climate, it's a lot easier to kind of duck out when you're not in person with someone.
Or I have a bad connection.
Yes.
I can't hear you.
my Wi-Fi isn't working.
Like today.
All of a sudden, it's raining here. Not.
Someone said in a larger group, I say, it was nice to meet you, shake their hand and say, I should circulate a bit more.
I should circulate a bit more. Yeah,
I should circulate a bit more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on to, I call it Zoom's world because we are in a Zoom world now. And we have one panelist who said, what a great topic. I have missed my coffee chats, my in-person coffee chats, my after-work drinks, and networking lunches over the past few months. I would love to hear how the wonderful panelists are keeping the connection alive in this new world of ours while tackling Zoom fatigue and blurring of personal and professional life at home. That's a long question. I hope everybody heard me.
I can repeat the question if you want, Sherri. So you started out with, what a great topic. I've missed my coffee chats, after work drinks, and networking lunches over the past few months. I would love to hear how the wonderful panelists are keeping the connection alive in this new world of ours while tackling Zoom fatigue and blurring of professional and personal life at home. So, Casey, do you want to start?
Sure. Considering I've been dealing with Zoom fatigue, I've got a lot of Zoom meetings and it's quite overwhelming. But I find that there's certain practices that companies have to put in place in order to kind of combat this, as well as if companies don't put it in place, then individuals need to speak up to kind of set those boundaries, because boundaries are even more important with this digital age, and people want to get in touch or have these connections. But for me, we have coffee chats, we have Thursday happy hour, there's online office, so you can work and have someone in the background on Zoom. So there's all these different kinds of techniques that companies can do, and we have done them. But at the same time, if you're done with conversations or being on Zoom 24 hours a day, then you just don't want those connections. I think one of the most important things that my kind of department did was set hours for, I guess, communication or being able to be reachable. So I think ours are 9 to 3. So you can contact anyone in my department between those hours, but then we can vary our hours around that. But that's basically where we should be available and like responding to emails. We don't necessarily open everything up to, you can call me at any point during the day, but we do have an inter-office chat, and that's kind of, you're expected to be on the chat between 9 and 3. Outside of those hours, you don't have to answer. So I really like that kind of setting of that boundary, so that I know if it's 3 o'clock, I don't have to answer anything that's on my computer, and it's fine
guilt.
because everyone in my department understands.
And no guilt.
Exactly.
Right. That's
Yep.
great. So
Boundary.
how do you manage yourself? How do you after 3, after hours? Like, do you stop right at 5 or at 4? Do you have your own boundaries?
Yes, and I think my boundaries kind of change because of this different work environment. I might have meetings continuously back to back throughout the day, and that's when I say, sorry, I've got to get to the next meeting. But other than that, I can actually start early. If I wake up at 7 o'clock, I can jump on the computer and get some work done at 7 a.m. and then get off at 3. I'm trying to put in my hours as best as I can. I'll go out for a walk at lunchtime, but kind of have that flexibility to my schedule that I normally would get in terms of going outside and kind of exploring, not just sitting in my house because everyone's working and living in one location usually now. And that's when fatigue sets in. So even just getting outside for a half an hour at lunchtime is really beneficial to me.
Yeah, that's a great solution. I think, just us, just even taking that break and taking that walk, it's a different world working from home. I even find that myself where I'm just constantly on the computer and working and Zooming. And it was funny, I told my team that this morning I was on vacation last week. I mean, I still worked, but I was on vacation. And I told them this morning, I said, I think what it really is that I think it was the meetings. It was the fatigue of all the meetings. So for 1 week, I had no meetings on Zoom. Can you hear me? For 1 week, I had no meetings.
It's coming in and out, yeah.
And it was wonderful. I was refreshed. So I like that your company, your SFU, is setting boundaries for you, and that you're setting your own, and you're actually taking time for yourself. So Tina, your situation was very different. You didn't have a lot of COVID.
Manitoba was shut down only for about 8 weeks, but early on, I would say, set expectations with people, and that comes along the lines of the boundaries, and that's good that SFU is giving you those boundaries. And the flip side of that is try and set expectations with people, and people know that Zoom fatigue is a thing. And so if you say to the group that's having another Zoom call, when the weather is nice, why are we not just having a tailgate coffee outside Starbucks? I mean, that was something we did early on. 2 people, 3 people, everyone sat on the tailgate of their vehicle, or, the trunk's open and you sit on the edge of the trunk and you just have these sort of coffee parties. I think when the weather is nice, we need to do that more. And so if you can say to people, I need to get out, I've already got however many Zoom calls. If you have the ability to be flexible with your schedule, and if you create your own schedule, I would strongly suggest that you take control of your schedule, because otherwise it just runs away on you, and then you become a victim to your computer, which is kind of the old email life. But I also like the idea now of getting on the phone, just the good old fashioned telephone now. And Casey said that you not necessarily have to answer all your calls right away, but people are actually picking up the phone more now, and I think we're accomplishing a lot more than just transferring emails and sort of that thing. So I think people want to hear people's voices. To the point of blurring personal and professional life at home, I would say that we don't know when we're going to have a different scenario at home, working from home, looking after young kids. That is again sort of what I did early on, looking after kids, and everything was blurred. So just kind of keep your head up. Maybe this is hopefully not the calm before the storm, but if we're in the storm, there will be light at the end of the tunnel. So just stay positive, and kind of put our heads down right now with all of balancing everything. And I think as women, we're very good at balancing everything. It's just, you know, when do you say when, right?
Yep, exactly. And because you can't hear me, I just put a note to everybody that because this is a very popular topic, you know, the Zoom fatigue, the networking in our new world, because we're not face-to-face anymore, and it's just a very different dynamic, that we want to continue this conversation in future events. 1 hour probably was not enough for us here today, so please continue to check out our network for that. I'm just being mindful of the time. It's 1:57. So I have some, thank you ladies. I appreciate you being here today.
No problem.
I have three questions left, and they are rapid fire questions. These ladies do not know what I'm asking them. I've asked every panelist on every WOW event. So are we ready? I hope everybody can hear me. Here we go. Okay, so the first question, what was your favorite go-to comfort food during the COVID shutdown?
Chocolate.
Oh.
Sorry.
Chocolate? Casey? You said chocolate.
I
I said
Well, I want-
chocolate.
Wine, but that's not a good answer.
That's okay.
I can't say
Wine,
that.
wine is good. Wine works. Wine
Yeah.
works. Okay. Second question. What did you miss the most?
Mine was hugging people. I'm very huggy.
I think mine was the hallway conversations. So in my job, it requires a lot of just connecting and touching base with people. And now it requires scheduling and setting up of meetings and requiring half an hour to talk about a 5-minute topic. So yeah, hallway conversations is something that I really miss.
Yeah, I miss the hugs. I'm a hugger as well, so I did miss the hugs. Okay, question number 3. We got 1 minute. If you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would it be and why?
My answer is anywhere. I want to get out.
Get out. Your freedom, right? Anywhere? Tina?
Probably Tuscany. We have a winery in Tuscany, and I've been wanting to get
Very
there.
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you being here. It's 1:59. We're right on time. I'm sorry that no one could hear me today. I apologize. I have no idea why. We'll try to get that fixed for our next Words of Wisdom, which will be next week, I think. I have to go check that out, but I think it's next week. But anyways, thank you, Casey. Thank you, Tina. I really appreciate you being here. And be safe and enjoy the fall weather because it's here. Well, it's here anyways.
I just want to say
Okay.
thank you, Sherri, for all the work that you and your group are doing. I think it's very vibrant, and it's a wonderful opportunity for people to get together. I don't know that there's as many as there was, but you are weathering this incredible storm. So thank you to your group, because it's a pleasure for me to be involved, and I'm thankful that I'm working with Casey, and there's lots and lots of opportunities. So maybe there are more, you know, maybe small group roundtables that we can do in the near future. People.
Absolutely.
So,
thank you, Tina.
Yeah, reach out anytime.
Okay, I appreciate you. Thank you, Casey. Thanks for everything. All right,
Thanks.
I'm just gonna stay on a little bit. You guys can stay on if you want, but I have something to tell the audience if they can hear me. All right, everybody, if you just watch the screen, our next Words of Wisdom is Wednesday, September the 16th, and it's with Melissa McCrae, who is the instructor for the Wisdom program. So she's going to be talking about the program and all the wonderful learnings and teachings that we will provide for you as you sign up for the Wisdom Mentoring Program. membership. If you want to join our powerful community today, it's just as little as $8.25 a month. That's like a Starbucks coffee, or a couple of them anyways. And or $99 for the year. And this special offer runs from April until December of 2020. You can connect with us on social. And we wouldn't be able to do this without our wonderful partners and allies, Loblaw companies, and the rest of our corporate partners. Thank you very much for supporting us and always being there, especially through these trying times. And our more of our virtual events coming up. We're starting our new Monday Mojo at WXN. WXN ambassadors are leading lively and informative conversations, and that starts on September 14th, and it runs through until December of 2021. So that's a weekly program for us. And then the Unite and Rise webinar series, October 1st, 8th, 15th, and 29th, we're talking about Rising Strong, and that is based on Brene Brown's book. So we'd love for you to join us there. It's a great offer for what you'll be learning during those sessions. And then November, we continue with some great workshops. And then, of course, in December, we have Canada's Most Powerful Women Top 100. This year is very different. We are leading it with a virtual leadership summit and then a virtual awards gala. So we're excited. And I'm honestly a little nervous, but we have a great team. We have a great production company and some great speakers, keynotes. So please just keep an eye on our website, and there'll be some really exciting announcements soon about that. And then our Wisdom Mentoring Program registrations are now open. The program runs from January to December 2021. If you're a member, it's $900, 2 equal payments of $450. If you're a non-member, it's $1,200, 2 equal payments of $600. Really, the value is becoming a member would be beneficial for you to be joining the Wisdom Mentoring Program. And then our upcoming free virtual book club events with all of our top 100 award winners who have written books. I didn't believe there were so many of them. So please take a look at that. We're booked out now till February 1st, 2021. And thank you again for attending this webinar. I'm very sorry that my sound was not working well, but we really appreciate you being here. Thank you for your support. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of day. Bye-bye.